Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Nobody knows for sure if the SEC v. Ripple case is going to reach settlement or if this thing goes the whole 9 yards and we actually see summary judgment. But attorney John Deaton has shared some brand spanking new thoughts on potential settlement scenarios and what the likelihood is of such scenarios. And on top of that, I will say, and attorney John Deaton isn't speculating on this, but we're all wondering on top of this, like, should there be settlement? What's that going to mean for the price of XRP? Is there going to be a sudden jolt in terms of price action upward as soon as settlement is reached, if that indeed happens? Well, I'm willing to hazard a guess here that the answer is yes. To what degree, I don't know. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up in a straight line forever. Doesn't necessarily mean that that'll be the catalyst to make XRP hit a new all-time high. But I speculate that there will be some sort of positive price action should such an agreement be reached. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, as fun as that will be should it happen. What are the potential options here? Well, that's the topic of this video, and I'm going to let John Deaton break it down for you in his own words, because just yesterday afternoon, he shared a pretty thought-provoking thread on Twitter on this very topic. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So there's an XRP community member named JV who tweeted out the following. Of course it's going to summary judgment. There's no kind of way the SEC can settle that would allow them to continue to reign terror on the crypto space. And so I will say in a general sense, and again, I admit, I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but my suspicion is that it's more probable that settlement is going to be reached, but weird things happen in life. Like, let's be real, it's possible this thing really actually does, as I cited at the outset, go the whole 9 yards, in which case we may not see finality of this case until March of next year. Now, hopefully it doesn't take that long. I'd rather see settlement. But here's what attorney Deaton had to say, because he retweeted that and shared the following thoughts. Will there be a settlement in SEC v. Ripple? I've maintained for more than a year that settlement is 100% dependent on whether the SEC must turn over the Hinman speech drafts, edits, emails, and comments thereof. Other than having to produce the emails and drafts, another event that could facilitate a settlement is if the SEC receives a disfavorable decision in the library case. I become more convinced that there will be no settlement unless one or both of those things happen. First of all, my opinion regarding settlement is no better or more relevant than anyone else's opinion. I just got to pause there. I disagree respectfully, John. I think that your opinion does weigh heavier because you are much more knowledgeable. I respectfully state that, but I appreciate the humbleness, nonetheless. And then attorney Deaton says, the fact that I'm amicus counsel places me in no better position to speculate than anyone else. I'm just sharing my observations because I'm receiving many emails and direct messages asking. On January 1st, 2021, only 9 days after the Ripple case was filed, I filed the writ of mandamus, Matt Damon, that's what it sounds like to me, Team America F yeah, and stated in the petition that the lawsuit v. Ripple, alleging all XRP are illegal securities, made no sense unless it was filed for one of the following reasons. So check this out. And he's got three reasons listed. Number one, the lawsuit was personal and a form of political revenge for Clayton. Number two, the lawsuit was a weapon to slow adoption and filed for personal gain in order for a select few to benefit financially. Or number three, the lawsuit was filed with such overbroad and sweeping allegations, i.e. claiming secondary market XRP traded independent of Ripple are still securities, as a form of regulation by enforcement with the intent of coming, after all crypto, a jurisdictional land grab by the SEC. Just pause. Which one of those things do you think is most likely? For fun, I'll throw something out there. I'm willing to throw a little something out there. I'm going to guess it's number three. I mean, maybe there's some overlap. Maybe it's more. It doesn't have to just be one of these. But if I had to pick just one, I'm thinking three. Like, these people, they're not stupid. They're just vindictive and just like sociopaths. And the degree to which they're like, if you sat these people down, given that they're not stupid, and let's say they had never in their path of life ended up working at the SEC and you just sit down and show them the facts, I don't think they'd agree with the crap that they're currently arguing. I don't believe so. I don't, there's almost zero humans on the planet that think what the SEC doing is logical, rational, reasonable. Almost zero humans. That's why it's almost impossible to find people that say the SEC is on the right side of this thing if they're unbiased. Outside of the SEC, you just don't find. It's really difficult. And that's why on the rare occasions where I do find people that side with the SEC, I highlight it on my channel because it's just like, it's the unicorn of opinions, basically. It almost doesn't exist. Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. Gary Gensler and the SEC are not going to settle until the political risks outweigh the political benefits. Right now, I think Gensler believes that he doesn't have much to lose by not settling. In fact, if the SEC were to win summary judgment in both the Library and Ripple cases, it would provide Gensler the validation that most tokens are securities and justification that they must be regulated by the SEC. And I'll just pause to note, should such a thing happen, if that's the future that we have here in the United States with crypto, I might just get out. Because that means that everything that I'm counting on to achieve life-changing wealth is just not going to work out here. That would be my suspicion at that. If it actually goes that poorly, should such an unlikely scenario come, I'll talk about it on the channel at the time. And I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying, if it actually does, I don't know how I can justify having the amount of my net worth in crypto that I have if it's just all going to get attacked. And so there's a lot to consider. But again, like I said, I don't think that's going to happen, just thinking out loud here. Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. Right now, the political environment seems to favor the CFTC as the regulator of choice for crypto. POTUS's executive orders, that's of course President of the United States executive order, gave limited input or jurisdiction to the SEC. Republicans in the Financial Committee and Senate favor the CFTC. Senator Loomis and Gillibrand, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, their bill favors CFTC. If Gensler were to get a victory in the Library case and the Ripple case, he might be able to swing political sentiment towards the SEC. He could say, 2 federal judges agree that these tokens are securities. If Judge Torres concludes XRP is a security, Gensler and the SEC will sound like today's XRP holder. For 2 years, we've been saying to the crypto world that if XRP is a security, then every altcoin in existence, with the exception of a few, are also securities, including ETH. SEC refused to settle Library. Jeremy Kauffman, I'll just pause to note, Jeremy Kauffman is the creator of Library. Jeremy Kauffman offered everything, except registering today's LBC, that's Library Credit Token, a security. He offered to dissolve the Library company and sell his assets at auction. The SEC even conceded that the majority of today's LBC purchasers are users, but refuse to settle. Ripple offered to settle before the lawsuit was filed, and agreed to pay a fine and penalties related to sales in the early years, and with the SEC not agreeing to give clarity for today's XRP. So in other words, Ripple would pay a substantial amount of money and live with the status quo. But the SEC refused. Furthermore, acting as temporary chairwoman of the SEC, I think her name's Allison, right? It's at SEC Heron Lee. Yeah, Allison Heron Lee. Allison Heron Lee discontinued the use of conditional settlement offers. In my opinion, that was a decision directed at hindering any potential settlement with Ripple and other crypto platforms. Now, folks, let me just pause here to say, isn't it wild that Ripple was like, here, just take all of our damn money. Just leave us alone. And then the SEC's like, nope. Doesn't that kind of tell you what the motivating factor is here, given that, like, I think the stat is 95% of lawsuits that the SEC brings, 95% end up getting settled. But this one, which clear, it's so clear the SEC's in the wrong here. This one specifically, like, no, we're just nope, moving forward. They clearly have additional motivation factors, right? Anyway, Attorney Deaton continues. Think about it. Why would you do away with a practice that helps facilitate settlements? With the Ripple and Library cases pending, the SEC filed the Wahi case claiming 9 tokens sold by these individuals are securities. Then comes the filing of the Dragon Chain case. The CEO of Dragon Chain, after spending $2 to $4 million in legal fees over a 4-year investigation, was told the investigation was over and he was free. On the eve of the statute of limitations expiring, no longer represented by counsel, the SEC filed the case claiming Dragon is a security. So pause. Does that sound at least vaguely familiar? Does it kind of sound like, okay, fine, it's a little bit different, but Jay Clayton just walking out the door, it's a last-minute decision here. And in the Dragon Chain case, fine, you're talking about statute of limitations, but still, it's down to the wire, do it or don't, and then they're just like, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. It's the same thing with Ripple. Pretty wild. How are these adults, in air quotes, behaving like this? It's crazy stuff here. And then Attorney Deaton continues and says, there are cases now pending in the 1st, 2nd, and 9th circuits, in addition to Wahi. Gensler has made clear that the exchanges are next, as I predicted almost a year ago. A plan is being executed step by step. Here is a breakdown of the scenarios that will dictate settlement versus a decision on summary judgment. And so check this out. This is where we're getting into the potential happenings in terms of how is this case going to wind down. You know, if there's going to be a settlement, what's that going to look like? What's the timeline? What's the likelihood? That type of thing. So scenario 1, SEC receives a victorious ruling from Judge Torres overturning Judge Netburn's order that the SEC must turn over the emails, comments, drafts, and edits. Result: no settlement, summary judgment decision. Odds of scenario 1 happening? 5%. Scenario 2, Judge Torres affirms Judge Netburn's decision and orders the documents turned over. Result: the SEC seeks certification for an interlocutory appeal to the 2nd Circuit. I don't believe Judge Torres will certify. The SEC seeks a writ of mandamus. A lot depends on timing. If Judge Torres' ruling that the documents must be turned over is very soon, it's possible the SEC's delay tactics could run out of time by the end of the year, forcing a settlement. If her ruling takes a long time, the daily tactics run the clock. I think he means delay tactics. It says D-A-L-Y. I think it's just missing the letter 8. So delay tactics. Conventional wisdom is that if Library can't get a total victory, we hope the judge splits the baby and says specific sales to an investment club when the platform had only a few videos and users was a securities offering, but the token today is not a security. I'll just pause and say, I think I could live with that. Who here would not live with such a thing, right? Because look, I mean, whether it's settlement or full adjudication, I don't literally expect it to be so lopsided that it's 100% win for Ripple and XRP holders and nothing for the SEC. There's going to be something. Like if there's a settlement, the SEC at a minimum needs to be able to save face, which I think would include some sort of, fine being paid by Ripple for early sales, or if it's Library, something similar to that effect. But it's not going to be literally that big of a slam dunk in terms of how it comes out, because the SEC needs to be able to posture. That's going to be part of it. And you know what? I don't care. I am totally fine with that. We'll know the truth. They just want to be able to save face. And then Attorney Deaton says, everyone needs to accept the fact that if Ripple or Library cases were only about enforcing securities laws, the cases would have settled long ago. This is about Gensler crushing the crypto market in an effort to slow down adoption so that the incumbents can get a bigger slice. So I'll just pause and note, when I said, do you think it's 1, 2, or 3 earlier in the video? Like I said, it doesn't have to be just one. And Attorney Deaton could be spot on here. That could be a huge factor here. I mean, look at BlackRock now getting into crypto. But that's why I said if I had to pick just one, I picked 3. But it doesn't mean that I think that the others are wacky necessarily. I don't. It's perfectly reasonable to speculate on that. And then Attorney Deaton wraps up by stating, almost a year ago, I tweeted out Brian Brooks could settle the Ripple case in 15 minutes and then spend more time deciding what to eat for lunch. And then he said, you can read Brian's response. Well, I'm not going to run through it in this video. I've actually covered that, though, on the channel. And he says, I hope I'm wrong, and I'm grossly underestimating the chances for a settlement. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the reason that I'm so optimistic for a settlement personally is because I find it to be like a virtual certainty that Judge Torres is going to side with Judge Netburn and insist that the SEC must hand over all of the emails and drafts of the Billy Boy Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech from 2018. And if that's the case, I just don't think the SEC is actually going to follow that order. They're not going to follow through, which means that the only option for them at that point is settlement. And the reason I say that is because I really do think that there's likely to be something in there that's exculpatory, or for Ripple specifically, or would just destroy the approach they want to take with with prosecuting crypto cases just in a general sense. Maybe it's both. So, but there's got to be something in there. Like, the SEC has never fought so hard for anything having to do with crypto. This is it, and it's so clear that they're doing this for a reason, despite the fact that they're on the wrong side of the law and they're not using actual logic. So, is what it is. But I found this to be a very fascinating thread. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm going to wrap up here, but I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.